Now, the ever-presence of Boko Haram in the north. The country has a new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of the All Progressive Congress, APC. How long is he going to last with his past catching up with him? That's one of the things that we should really look at, because his past is one of the things that we have in today's program. Now, what happened to a country usually referred to as the Green Belt of Africa, and where is this country heading? Where is it heading? With me in the studio to discuss Nigeria at 63 is Mazi Obi Okoli, Nigeria Labour Party, UK. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers. I greet you with the sincere greetings of praise. Good evening, all.
Chief Eric Zekwe, advocate for human rights, I guess, and a member of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Right. Something else that we really, is the key thing. Other than discussing, we know Nigeria's problems. We know where Nigeria has gone wrong. We know about corruption. We know, all the past coups and presidents and all that. But when we look at the 63 years, is there something that has been achieved that we can say, at least this has been done? The way Buhari said, my achievement is I've had women in office, I've brought some money back from the West, and so on and so on. What do you look at as a major achievement that we could count as an achievement that Nigeria has achieved since independence? What could come out?
For me, you referenced Buhari. Obviously, we all know that.
Because he mentioned a number of things at the end of his government. He said the increased minimum wage is a major one, education reforms, inclusion of more women in government. He went on counting his achievement, and people said, okay, women have included. Education reforms, we all saw what was going on. But other than Buhari, if you look at the past since independence, there has to be something, at least one can point a finger at, that this is a major achievement the country has had.
The achievements are not much to talk about. For me, Nigeria is still evolving as a sovereignty, because you can't even call Nigeria. Sometimes I doubt if we have democracy in Nigeria.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of injustice going on. Buhari government divided the nation, the country, more than uniting it.
Okay.
He lacked the principles and the ingredients of what democracy should be. So he never governed by democracy. Buhari was more of a tribalist. For me, Buhari was more of a tribalist. Democracy, in its meaning, is a kind of thing that depends on the people, the will of the people. That should be democracy. Democracy should include both justice, equity, and Nigeria practicing the federal system of government throughout Buhari's tenure, 8 years tenure. He made Nigeria worse than it can ever be. Nigerians are suffering. Even the current government, the wife of the president, the first lady, Remi Tinubu, if I'm right, she said it, that the husband inherited a dilapidated nation, a dilapidated economy.
Okay.
You could see her representation. And one of Buhari's spokesperson, what's his name again, Shehu, came to counter what she said.
But
So,
other than Buhari,
yeah.
if you look at the 63 years, because that's the key thing we look at, the 63 years where we have had different presidents that have ruled Nigeria, the coups and so on and so forth, but different presidents. Somewhere along the way, somebody was mentioning the diaspora, saying the people who are in the diaspora have put so much money in Nigeria, and they have developed certain areas of Nigeria, because villages have developed because of people who are sending money home and building not just houses, but doing different sectors where they're earning money. So can that be counted as an achievement?
I think let's look at the question that you
Yeah.
you asked first. In your introduction,
Yeah.
You did say that Nigeria gained independence in 1963.
Yeah. No,
Now,
yes.
I mean, 1963 years now that Nigeria gained independence. So the first question that we need to ask is Nigeria independent? Then with the evolving global information that we have available at our disposal today, you can see what is happening in the French-speaking parts of the world and the influence of the ex-colonizers upon the continent of Africa. You will ask yourself, is Nigeria really, really free from colonial indoctrination and colonial control? So 63 years of Nigeria has done tremendously well in the 63 years. We have 41% unemployment rate. We have done very, very well in the first quarter of 2023. Nigeria has, in the previous years, had about 5.7 unemployment rate. We have 31% of our population as, illiterate, with millions of children out of school. Our mortality rate is 1,047.00. Meanwhile, Kenya is 530.00, and Ghana is 248.00. Now you look at the prison congestion in Nigeria, it's 79,000 people in the prison.
That's in prisons. All the prisons
in
the country.
All the prisons in the country, 79,000 people, young men that could help a country grow. So you have like a mini country in the prison because the young men have taken to the streets, to fraud, to crime, because the government has failed them. Now, in that area, we have done tremendously very, very well in the past 63 years. Now, you look at the female in Nigerian prison, it's 1,852 of our women are in prisons today, awaiting trial. So, in total, we have 81,742 people in Nigerian prison. In that area, we've done fantastically well in the past 63 years, where 81,000 of our people are in prison. Then you look at the roads. We have 36,000 kilometers of road to be tarred. 80% of that has not been tarred, has not been constructed. So the federal government claims they did about 80%, which is a lie. We all know it's a lie. We see our people die on the roads on a daily basis. And then you look at, the entire nation. The judiciary has collapsed, which used to be the arbiter, the hope of the common man. The judiciary has collapsed. The Nigerian army, you can see how they've been overwhelmed by conflict all around the nation, from the north to the east, to the west, to the Niger Delta. So you ask yourself, we have done tremendously well in 63 years to position ourselves from being the giant of Africa to the giant of North.
All I can say is that when we count achievement, I know all those things are there, and there are too many of them. But one other thing that I was researching and I discovered that Nigeria, among Africa, are some of the richest people on the continent. Dangote is obviously, nobody's following him. He's out of this world. He's a different person from the continent. Now,
but a nation is not measured. But a nation is not measured.
On an average, if you count the billionaires in Nigeria and the billionaires in Ghana or in
other African countries,
you're going to find that there are more
billionaires in Nigeria.
So maybe before independence, obviously there were no billionaires. So they have all come on during the independence. You could count that as an achievement.
But the sources of but the sources of any nation is not premised on individual wealth. It's a collective interest.
I know.
And as soon as it does not represent that collective interest, it will fail. And looking at it, when you see, sometimes I tend to blame the colonial masters. Sometimes I tend to blame Nigerians, Nigeria as a nation, and the individuals in Nigeria, because even power is still individual that are in that power.
Of course.
If those individuals have empathy in them, I believe they will deliver good governance. But the fact of the matter is that the colonial masters set up Nigeria in a situation where they could still be governing Nigeria in proxy. So if not, we shouldn't be talking about neo-colonialism
No,
and decolonization. These are where the words came to be, because when you talk about decolonization, what are we decolonizing? It means that the original, the democracy and the independence that we got, how will I put it? Is a fake one. Will I say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Will I say that? Yes.
But okay, go ahead.
No. For me, I have the belief, and I'm very, very optimistic that if we have good leaders in place, if we have those who have empathy in them, who understand what it means, what independence and democracy is all about, I believe Nigeria will navigate the right way. But that's what we lack. I hope the person who is in power now will realize that and imbibe and cultivate some empathy in him. And I believe he will deliver. But look, he started on the wrong footing when he decided to remove subsidy without palliatives on that. Although he's trying to retrace his steps by trying to add some palliatives in what's going on, but already the country is already in trouble.
Yeah, that is if it survives. Because according to what I'm getting today, Tinubu's problems, of course, are like those of Donald Trump. The qualifications, his qualification is in doubt. And I'm trying to find out from you Nigerians, if it actually comes out that it's not fake news, that it really didn't qualify. And is there possibility of an impeachment? Can he be the first president in Africa to be impeached?
No, let's be very, very clear.
It won't happen,
The international community can say whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
Right? They can castigate Nigerian president for all they want to say.
Yeah.
The issue is that it is Nigerians, it is the judiciary, it is the police that will go in to say, you committed a crime, and therefore, look at the number of prisoners. We have 81,000 of our citizens in prison. And then people are committing crime at the upper level on a daily and hourly basis. The DSS is not picking them up. The police are not arresting them. The judiciary is now beginning to rewrite the Nigerian constitution. So the question is, even if the certificates are fake, even if the sworn affidavit is fake, the Nigerian judiciary, the citizens have lost hope in them. We saw what happened with the Labour Party
the case in court.
The court. You saw what the judges delivered. I can tell you 100% that the judgment delivered by the court that day was submitted to them. If you write something, the way you read what you wrote, it will flow freely. If you notice, they were reading it, they were not even sure of the interpretation of the law that they were given. The 5 judges brought Nigerian judiciary to its lowest ebb. So the question is, even if the certificate is fake, even if everything is fake, the Nigerian judiciary will not be able to do anything
about it.
And the Senate will not be able to do anything, neither will the House of Reps. Because Nigeria is embedded in corruption, nepotism, tribalism. We see everything from the lens of tribalism. So even when you touch Tinubu, the West will come out to say, a lot of people from the West will come out, oh, you're touching our son. Oh, what did Buhari do this? Did you touch him? You understand? They bring in that tribal element that has held Nigeria to ransom up till today. Everything we do in Nigeria is seen from the tribal lens. And who is benefiting from it? The people in power. They know at the top, all of them are friends. They dine and wine together. But they know that if those at the lower level can dine and wine together, a revolution will take place in Nigeria and Nigerians will be free. But the only way they can do that is to use religion, Islam, Christianity. Then they use tribalism to say it's our person. And the moment that narrative
comes up,
every dynamics changed. That's why you cannot, let's be honest, if it was an Igbo man that had all this catalog of fake certificates and all this catalog of crimes in America and everything that people are saying, Nigeria will burn to pieces. They will want him out the same day.
But
when it comes to any other tribe, you find out our nation, I don't call us tribes anymore, we're 250 million people.
Yeah.
So we have nations within Nigeria that make up the country Nigeria. If it was any other nation within Nigeria, I can guarantee you they will bring down, he was an Igbo man, he will leave that power. But because we are tribalistic in nature, everything that they do, there's a camouflage around
that
it.
comes around it.
You know, so
now,
that is the issue. Chicago can say whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
That's in America. Somebody will give a judicial interpretation to it that a crime you committed in America and you have been pardoned in America, you cannot bring it back to Nigeria. It will be double jeopardy.
Yeah.
Have you heard that narrative?
Yeah.
It's beginning to pick up these days. Oh yes, he could have committed the crime. Yes, but he paid. He forfeited. So if you bring it back to Nigeria, they will call it double jeopardy.
Now, the issue, now you're aware of the situation. The biggest problem that I can see here is that if you know what the situation is all about, the question now comes in, what can be done to correct this situation? If as you say, the tribal structure that you have, how can this be corrected? Because this is one of those areas which are pretty difficult. The lady, Ngozi, the former finance minister of Nigeria, came up with a very good blueprint on how to clean up Nigeria. But the senators and everybody else who are at the top, they didn't want that to happen. They didn't want that to happen. And things never happened. In the end, she left office. And now, Obi is the only man who is trying to look back and see what she had in mind. And she's saying, whoa, this woman is very intelligent. Is there a way? Because sometimes we know the problem, but it's like there's nothing we can do about that problem. But can there be suggestions of how these problems could be dealt with?
I believe, like my colleague said, I don't want to talk about qualifications and all the rest of whatever Chicago thing happening over there. It's not my concern. My concern is Nigeria.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a Pan-Africanist. I believe in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I believe that if we make the right choice of a leader, I believe Nigeria will start navigating to what it should be. Places like Singapore, South Korea, they were all colonized, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were.
And India, we are colonized.
Yeah.
They choose what is good for them.
Okay.
And they left what is not good for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're looking at Nigeria, what we did was we didn't even choose anyone. The only thing we choose was religion. And we have used religion to destroy the psyche of an average Nigerian who believe now that he does not need to work for him to make an average African to make money. And you don't need those who sold this religion to you are making money. In England here, if you don't work, you're not going to earn money.
Of course, of course.
So now how come those that colonize you, you're not following their footsteps? Now, Tinubu can start changing the narrative. He can start doing things right. He said during his campaign that he intends to recruit good people who will surround him, technocrats. He promised that.
Okay.
And just the same way INEC promised us a transparent election, which never happened. Because for a democracy to exist in a nation and function positively well, the system that you put in place must be transparent.
Of course.
And the system that produces any government must be transparent. If it's not transparent, it's bound to fail. Or sometimes it's bound to struggle.
Can I say something here?
Just to add to what he said, right? If you want to build in any structure, any project, the first thing you do is to identify the issues at stake.
Okay.
And then you find a strategy and a plan on dealing with those issues. Now, if you look at Nigeria, we've got ethno issues problem. We've got regionalization problem. We've got the structural problem. We've got the constitutional problem. Now, we've got the religious problem. Now, these problems we all know as Nigerians. And you've asked the right question, what can be done?
Exactly.
In a lot of national conferences, Nigerians, intelligent Nigerians, sat down and made suggestions on how we can make this country grow.
Okay.
We identified one of the greatest deficiencies in Nigeria, which is the exclusive list. Virtually everything that the regions should be controlling are under the exclusive list. So the president becomes, rightly so named, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Everything stops at his table.
Okay.
Now, if we went back to regionalization, think about between 1960 to 1967, even before the Biafran-Nigerian War started, you'll find out that the regions were powerful. The regions were growing at a very fast pace. You look at the Granite Pyramid in the north. The north could even feed the entire north just from granite export. You come into the east, you had oil, you had cocoa, you had coal for export, you had cassava, you had a lot of things. You go to the west, timber and rubber and everything was there. Now that regional setup helped Nigeria in those days to start becoming close like Singapore. If you want to progress a nation, you look at those who have succeeded and you ask yourself what made them succeed. Nigerians, there is no change from 1960 till date. We are still using the same constitution that everybody has been crying about, that the constitution is faulty. The constitution was not written by us Nigerians, that we need to sit down and find a system that is unique to our peculiar challenges. We've just adopted something that is in America. Then you look at the democracy that we're practicing in Nigeria. It's very, very expensive, right? One senator in Abuja practically earns the whole money that the civil servants in one state can earn in a year.
Okay,
so these things are structural changes that need to happen if Nigeria plans to move ahead.
You said something here, but about the changes and the issues that you've discussed. But one thing that I said, this thing was there from the beginning. The tribal issue and the religious issue was there. This is a quote from the last British governor. He said, look, I have often, like many African countries, Nigeria is divided along religious and ethnic lines. The last British governor, his name was Sir James Wilson Robertson, he said, Nigeria is still very much a tribal society where local and tribal alliances count more than the national interest. This is way back in 63.
Okay.
That issue you've talked about, how the development were, how the North could feed the North and so on. It was at the time. This man had gone deep and already.
Before my colleague,
what I'm saying is that this thing was there from the beginning. Is there a way, even if they had tackled these ethnic and religious lines at the beginning, then you wouldn't have had all this.
Before my colleague comes in, let's take a recent example. Rwanda.
Okay.
The genocide, right? How many people were killed? Over 6 million.
Over 6,
Now,
not 6 million.
Over that.
Okay.
Now, a president came in that loves his country. That had the common man as his main mission and agenda. He wanted to build his country. The man was tired of being insulted globally. He was tired of his people being seen as nobodies. And he changed Rwanda within the last 20 years. We can see where Rwanda is today. I think it's all about the will of a people. They said that 1,000 lions could be led by a determined pussycat. Right? And that is true. And they will follow him. If we had good leader, God gave us the opportunity that Peter Obi came out. But look at the way our people, a lot of our people went to, for the first time in Nigeria, there was tribal meltdown. Everybody wanted Nigeria to progress. But the powers that be, those people who will never allow Nigeria to progress, they made sure he did not come in. And today we are all suffering. I leave my colleagues.
Before you go on, there's something about having a bright team. You've mentioned Rwanda. Kagame had a very good team, a good team. He was a team player. He had a good team that came with him. Now, there are several Nigerian presidents have come on, and they have tried to be, to develop the country. But they have always had the problem that those behind them are doing something else.
I think
among Jonathan mentioned.
Yeah, Obasanjo, during Obasanjo's regime,
yeah,
I think he recruited good team.
Yeah,
he had good team.
Yeah,
but the problem is just like what we said. The British colony left behind a kind of democracy that Nigerians don't even know how to handle.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, no matter how much effort you put, it seems not to be yielding the result that is needed. So if a country is independent, it should be seen from that independent point of view. But looking at Nigeria, it seems that Nigeria is being still remoted and managed from different, angles. So you look at what have happened currently in Nigeria, you find that any leader that goes in tend to behave tribalistically, like my colleague said. Apart from during the era of Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan, the rest that I have noticed during my time on earth, as far as I know about democracy here, the one I've witnessed in Nigeria, the last dispensation was nothing to write home about. It's a complete failure.
Now, Peter,
and hold on, and Tinubu has emerged as president according to INEC result. Now the question is, what are Tinubu's intentions? Does he really want Nigeria to practice true democracy? His appointments, is he representing federalism that Nigeria claims to be practicing? These are things we'll have to look at. If all these indices are in place, and then we will now know, yes, his energy will be channeled in giving the people good governance. But right now, he started on a bad footing when he announced subsidy removal. And then what is going on? Look at the Naira. Is on a free fall. And then you cannot have the people who are crying for food and who are troubled and who does not know what the next day will represent for them. The country will be in a total chaos. So what we are saying is that now that Nigeria is still independent, what is Tinubu's vision for the nation? That's my thinking. What is his view? It's time that he begin to show it, that he has that empathy to give good governance. As he promised, he will recruit people who will help him work together. But I know that a younger Tinubu would have done better than that he might do now. But with good team around him, I believe they can still do better than Buhari and even take Nigeria to the next level. One, they should, if we should, even the Constitution of Nigeria, we should practice it a little bit. The Constitution, if well followed, will at least accommodate every tribe in Nigeria. But I believe if I to be in the leadership, I will take Nigeria back to regional government, where each region, whatever best you know, you do best, and then neutralize power and have little power in the center, so that all these political positions will not be attractive again. Because you find out that both fraudsters, both criminals, and a lot of people are going into politics because that's the only way to make money and that's the only way to sustain. Nothing can sustain you now apart from politics. Businesses are crippling. Nothing is moving because the Naira is going down every day. So how do we now manage this situation? A lot of countries look at the insecurity. The insecurity is not helping the farmers because the farmers are not cultivating. So what's going to happen in the next 1 to 2 years? If nothing is done, there will be a revolution in Nigeria. I don't pray for that. I pray that the current government will get it right so that we will avoid that revolution that might happen.
We did mention the national interest. That's the key word here, which has not been addressed, which countries like Malaysia addressed. Countries like China address that. But before we go into that, I just want to welcome Femi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I'm late. Traffic has been terrible today.
These things do happen. We are trying to answer the key question of where Nigeria has been, obviously, for the last 63 years is celebrating its independence. But the question is, what has been achieved over the last 63 years, and obviously we've learned quite a lot from this gentleman in regards to that nothing has really happened and nothing is really there to make sure that it's worth mentioning.
Is that what the two gentlemen are saying? I would want to disagree with that comment completely.
Okay. Yeah.
And simply it's this, you know, we must tell ourselves the truth in Nigeria, and what we do is we pick what suits our narrative.
Can you pick one particular thing, or a couple of things that have
so
been
for
achieved
example,
in the last
I'll tell you, for
63 years?
example, you could look at how many hospitals did we have in 1960 compared to now? How many schools did we have compared to now?
Yeah.
How many asphalted roads do we have compared to now? How many industries do we have compared to now? You know, what is the extent of the agriculture? How much has it grown then and what it is now? How many refineries, even though they're not working, do we have now than we had then? There's so many things. There are multiple number of things. You know, we've got Afro beats, we've got Nollywood.
Oh, the music has come in as well.
We've got Nollywood. We've got so many things happening. You know, the fine techs are doing fantastic well. The number of universities, as I said, that we have compared to, I mean, then at independence, I don't even know if we had maybe 1 or 2 universities. Now we've got hundreds of universities.
The population at independence
the population
was less than
so the population has increased
but it's now 200 and something.
Everything. I mean,
so that is counted as an achievement as well.
Yeah. So what you do is, if you have a narrow vision of what you're thinking, I mean, what we've achieved or we haven't achieved, then of course you say nothing has happened. You know. But things are happening and continue to happening, and we will continue to improve. This is my view.
That's your view.
My colleague could roll out a lot of things he wants to roll out. The fact of the matter, he mentioned about how many hospitals. But while all our leaders have been globetrotting, treating themselves abroad. From Buhari to the incumbent. The incumbent always in France and Paris to treat himself. Buhari all through spend the whole half of his leadership during his tenure, half of his tenure abroad, treating himself. So how can we now talk about hospitals and all the rest of them? A lot of people are dying in hospital day in, day out because of wrong diagnosis. And you find out that, okay, without light, without electricity, with insecurity, which hospital is functioning? None of the things he mentioned is functioning well. Even agriculture that he said, the farmers are no more in the farms. They are being killed every day and slaughtered either by the Fulani herdsmen or the bandits or all sorts of them. Every region now is occupied by bandits and unknown gunmen. So now what we are saying is that I agree, in a way I agree with him that there are hospitals being built, but nothing is in those hospitals. So what we are saying today is that it is time that Nigeria begin to practice true democracy. If we should talk about and discuss independence in the next 4 years, let our discussion change from that. Yes, there is improvement, and now let Tinubu practice true federalism. His appointment must represent all regions and all
if he survives.
If he survives.
I don't want to talk about his survival. I don't even want to. If I discuss Nigeria,
if he's impeached
no, you know what impeachment? Impeach who? Impeach who in Nigeria?
But I mean, he's submitted.
Can Nigeria ever impeach a president?
Post documents and all that.
Let's look at.
It's not possible to impeach a president in Nigeria because of corruption.
You said he submitted false documents. That's not what has been revealed from the CS.
The false document issue is a lie.
Well, the revelations don't say that the documents he submitted are false, so I'm a bit confused.
I don't want to go into that.
If we go,
I think let's do something here. We want to look at, when somebody asked me today, he said, what's the title of the program? I told him, I said, Nigeria yesterday, Nigeria today, and Nigeria tomorrow. Let's look at Nigeria. We've analyzed Nigeria of yesterday. At the time when Nigeria started, even after our independence, we were even more better than we are today. All these indices that he added, the road networks, overall we have about 36,000 kilometers of road. 80% of that is not even constructed. When you look at Nigeria in the 60s, in the 70s, up to even 1979, I was a proud Nigerian at that time. I went to school with school feeding. We had food in our school. We had books in our library. We had even shuttle buses to take us from our hostel to class and back. we had like 16 hours minimum.
That's before independence.
No, after independence, up to
yeah.
I'd like to know which school
1979.
that was.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to know which school that was.
Yeah, yeah.
Up to 1979, University of Jos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when I went to school, I don't know how old you are, but when I went to school,
Okay.
we went into what we used to call the cafeteria.
Okay.
And you could get your food for less than 1 naira 50 kobo, right? Our bus ticket was like 10 naira, 10 kobo for a pass from Naraguta to school. At the time I went to school, I used to go to the library to read. There were books there. After 1979 till date, instead of advancing, we went into a spiral fall. With the subsequent coups, the politicians now, then before, politics was not a profession. Politics was something.
It was a service. It was
a
duty.
service.
It was a duty.
We had people like Awolowo, people like Michael Opara, and the rest of them, Okotiebo and the rest. These people came to offer services. We moved from that era in from the 60s to 1979, and then we now saw a new era where you are either a politician by profession, a pastor by profession, a Yahoo boy by profession, or a criminal. So we had a new phase of people, and the dominant one became the professional politicians. Do you know there are people in Nigeria today, they don't have any means of livelihood apart from politics.
Okay, now,
right? So what we should be thinking about is, we've analyzed yesterday.
Yeah.
We've analyzed where we are today. The fundamental question is, from all of us, the panelists here, and even Nigerians at home watching us, where are we going from here?
Okay.
What are the suggestions that we can make to bring a better Nigeria? And we've identified one. We need to go back to regionalization.
Okay.
Security, we need to have state police.
Okay.
Can
I say something here?
Yes.
Ngozi, the former finance minister, during one of her what she wrote down anyway about what she gave the government of Nigeria, she suggested that the American format of government has failed in Nigeria. The House of Representatives, governors and senators. Nigeria should find a new format of government if it is the way forward, not to follow the American format, because that one has failed. Now, the original format which was existing in the 60s before independence, if they can address that and go back to the regional leaders, those who are leading villages, those who are leading regions and so on, and begin with a new constitution and begin a different format from the senatorhood and so on, that thing could work. Was this woman right? Because
she is right, and like I said earlier, for so many years we have
which
national
sort of format can come up?
We have national conferences, right? The Constitution of Nigeria, for God's sake, we all know the truth. The Constitution of Nigeria was not written for the Nigerians and has not served the nation properly. The sort of democracy we are operating today is too expensive for an emerging economy like ours. Right? We are looking at industrialization. In the previous years, the West had their industrialization policy, the East had their industrialization policy, the North had theirs, so that there could be this healthy competition among the regions for the betterment of Nigeria. The federal government is holding onto the exclusive list more than 21 items that need to be dispersed to the states and to the regions to control for a better Nigeria. Why wouldn't the federal government just man immigration, defense, right, and then internal policing?
It's all comes down to money.
It doesn't come to money. It comes down to mental surgery of we as Africans, because we believe that we cannot evolve systems that are unique to us. It's all about mental surgery. Why are we operating an American system of governance in Nigeria when we can evolve our own unique identity and system? Rwanda is not operating American system.
No, it's not.
Kenya currently is moving away gradually from
the democracy
to their own unique democracy.
I know.
So,
I just want Femi to come in over here. Do you think the format has failed? Can there be something else that...
No,
if it hasn't failed,
So let's look at historically, because you've been talking about historically. I want to say again, historically our literacy rates are better now, the life expectancy is better now, the child mortality is better now. People that want to be doom merchants, focus on negativity, no wahala.
Femi, please give us statistics.
Hold on, I never spoke when you spoke. Let me finish.
Okay, hold on. What is the child mortality rate that you have on your record?
Let me just finish. You can talk about that.
With statistics, please.
So, moving on, talking about the system that we had before bequeathed to us was the parliamentary system. That failed monumentally, and that's what led to the coup in the first instance. Regionalism has failed. That's why we had went from 3 regions to 4 regions to 12 states to 19 states to now 36 states. It shows that regional government doesn't work. And why are we a federation? We have to be a federation because actually most countries with so many tribes or nationalities cannot operate as a parliamentary system. You have to have a federal system. Now, the federal system isn't working because the system isn't working. It's because the politicians themselves are stinkingly corrupt. They're selfish and stinkingly corrupt. We have a democracy which is not really true democracy because the players themselves are the problem. It's not the system. You can devise any number of systems you want. Once you've got the politicians that we have in Nigeria in place, they will bastardize that system. So and it's a waste of time just going back and forth, create a new system. We need to move on with what's there and make it work. What are the issues? The issues are, do we have party democracy? No, we don't. Do we have local government autonomy? No, we don't. You see, do we have governors that control the purses of, so this government going to the people? No, it's not. Is it because the system doesn't allow it, or is it because the players are subjugating the system? That's the reality, but it suits the narrative to talk about the Constitution. Okay, for example, the Constitution, we the people, was a fraud, yes? But the American system that talks about we the people is a monumental fraud because it didn't include black people, it didn't include Native Americans. I was just reading yesterday about the doctrine of discovery. That shows the whole American system is a complete fraud. So any country, whether India, Pakistan, Indonesia, whichever it is going to have a situation. You've got an existing constitution. You need to make the most of it. And if you want to change it, there are legal ways in which you do that. And what is that? Go to the assembly, the National Assembly, change it through there, and then go to the states. You need to get a critical mass of people that believe in what you say. When you say everybody wants constitutional reforms, I would tell you that's not actually correct. And what is restructuring for me might not be the same for Ngozi or anybody else. Everybody's view of restructuring is quite different. So until you have a consensus and everybody's speaking the same language, we're just going to be going backwards and forward.
The question now, Femi, is this. The British were in Nigeria. They had their system of government where they were actually going to the local people, the local chiefs. They did that in Uganda. We never had any problems with that.
But we always had problems.
Yeah. They did that in Uganda. They did it in Kenya and everywhere, wherever they were. But they were dealing with the people on the ground, the local chiefs. They were dealing with that. Now, the problem now, like I've been reading about Nigeria, is that even the people on the ground are not listened to by those in office. So that's why I'm saying, look, if the system changes and it goes to the ground, and somebody in Anambra State can talk to a chief, and the chief has the power in that regional area to even help in whichever way, just like the way people in the diaspora are building small things within their regions. Don't you think that can work?
I like other stuff, but the traditional rulers have lost their relevance. I mean, they're relevant in certain ways, but in terms of constitutionality, they don't have any really say anymore. You understand? But whenever they want votes or whatever, the politicians will go to them. And obviously when there's security issues, they'll go to them. But in terms of having any power as such, they don't have any constitutional power anymore.
No, being listened to because they're on the ground.
Let me comment. What Femi, my colleague, have just said, he was just flowing to entertain us because he is a part of the government. Because one thing that I know is that life expectancy, the current the current life expectancy in Nigeria fluctuates between 52 years to 55 years.
He's one of the most well-informed journalists.
That's what I'm saying. But then he's misleading us.
Yeah, well,
because
really?
the facts, what I want us to do is that I like him as a person, but when it comes to politics, I like his views. I watch his program. I enjoy him sometimes, and then
he's got statistics as well.
No. Currently, right now, as we sit here, he has no statistics in everything that he has just said. Let me put one down. He can Google it. Let me tell you, life expectancy in Nigeria fluctuates between 52 years to 55 years, which is very, very low, and that's not good.
That's
the government
in various areas. Not
in Nigeria, as far as I am concerned, between 2020 to 2023, life expectancy in Nigeria is between 52 years to 55 years, or 55 point something years. Now, from all the things that all the indices has been mentioning, now I'm happy he said something about the traditional rulers. Traditional rulers has no power anymore. Now, Nigeria is now practicing an absoluteness in governance, where the president is the all and all. He can sack and hire and do whatever he likes. The governors sack the traditional rulers, and sometimes they collect criminals and thugs and give them chieftaincy title. How can someone who is a former criminal, a highway robber who shoots and kills people on the road, become a chief? What kind of people will he produce in his community, in his constituency? Is it not something he will be breeding criminals? Because they will be part of him. That's the people that will be his chief cabinet. Now, the question we're going to ask now is that we have a person who is the president now, which is Tinubu. What will he put in place, or what is he about to put in place? Like he said about Nigeria yesterday, today and tomorrow. Now, I am seeing that Nigeria I want to see tomorrow is a Nigeria that is working for all Nigerians. I want him to know that the power depends on the will of the people. If he can acknowledge that as part of the thing that will drive, as a driving force for his government, I believe he will succeed. Even if he doesn't succeed because of the tribal sentiments, regional issues, and other things, and the international community's involvement. Because when you see what is happening in Mali, like he mentioned earlier, in Burkina Faso and all the rest of them, you find that there is a new colonialism going on everywhere in Africa.
Can I say something here? Which I think most.
So Nigeria is not an exception as well. So when every country is interested in our government. I remember Obama supported the Buhari government. Where is Obama? Obama never spoke out again when Nigerians were suffering under Buhari. Buhari was not listening. Even the current government, remember I mentioned it that Remi Tinubu, recently the first lady, the Senator Remi Tinubu, mentioned it that the husband inherited a dilapidated economy, a bad economy, in which even the former spokesman Shehu came to counter her. It means that there is a party, APC currently, I don't know what's going on in among them, but what I'm saying is that they are the people in power. They must put up a structure that will help Nigeria to function, and we will now have a progressive Nigeria where everybody will be a partaker.
Can I say something here? You did mention Rwanda, and I can look at how countries that have been so stable and have the national interest at heart, like Malaysia, Japan,
even Togo recently. Look at
now the education structures of these countries, which Kagame started in Rwanda, and Malaysia started this, and Japan do it. When the structures of education, children come from school, they are told how to be nationalistic in their country, right from the ages of 5 or 10. In Japan, they even clean their schools. They do whatever they do because that's in the national interest. It's in the curriculum. So no parent can come and say you're abusing my child. No, it's part of learning to work together, to do things together. Malaysia did that. Japan is doing that. Even China. Somebody will tell you the best country to be is in China. Now, African educational structures haven't changed over the years. Could Nigeria change the educational structure so that from the educational structure we can get the national interest at hand?
You see what something I said something earlier, and he asked me which school did I go to. When we were young,
I understand that.
When we were young,
so
I went to Government College Umuahia, and then in those days you had Government College Lagos, you had Government College Abeokuta, and all the rest. We had first year secondary schools in place, and it was a pride to pass the common national common entrance exam to go to those schools. We had quality education because the churches, the community were involved in education, right, of their people. And then we had the federal universities. They were funded then. Yeah. We had minor strikes, but the strikes were over half kobo increase in fuel. Yeah. I know when we went back home for more than 3 months, because then they increased fuel by half kobo. Okay. Half kobo. Right. Now, I know when I went to school and looking at the standard of education when we went to school, I can guarantee you that a child who went to any of the government colleges, any secondary school in Nigeria then is better than a graduate today in Nigeria. Quote me. If you listen to the grammar that comes, there was a school somebody went to in Nigeria and asked them what is IT. The girl read IT, information technology. And somebody said, what is the meaning of IT? She said international technology. This is somebody who graduated after 4 years from a university, did not know the full meaning of our course. When we went to secondary school, we had proper education. We had history. We had social studies that explained to you what it meant to be a Nigerian, what it takes to be nationalistic. We replaced all that. We removed history. We removed social studies from school. We replaced it with tribalism. People in Nigeria, all of us here, we all see things from the tribal lens.
Point of view.
I have said it before, and nobody can gloss it over with nice speeches and pretense. That's what we Nigerians do. A Nigerian, it's like a typical racist white person will tell you, oh, I have black people as friends. The whole of Nigeria, you can count up to 100 people that are unbiased and not tribal.
All right.
So how do we build a nation? You build a nation by inculcating that love, discipline, nationalism into people, to see the nation as a nation that they belong to.
But it has to come from the schools. That's what I'm trying to explain.
It has to come from the school. It has to come from the people. It has to come from the government. It has to come from the parents. It has to come from the community.
Okay.
But when a people see you, and they see you first as Kenyan, as Igbo, as Yoruba, as Hausa, they don't see you as a human being. The moment you introduce yourself with your name, you're put in a tribal space. These things need to be destroyed if we want a nation. If we don't want a nation, that's when even the parliament, have you seen the House of Senate? The sort of bills they bring? They are not bringing any bills that will help Nigeria. If you look at their bills, I sat one day and looked at online all the bills that have been introduced to the Senate. It's even more regional than nationalistic.
Femi,
I let him go.
Can you come in on this issue? Because I want that concentration to be on because the educational structure.
Okay, so I'm glad that Obi asked me to go and check statistics, and the statistics don't lie. And as I said before, things have changed. In 1960, life expectancy was 36.73. Now it's 52.89. The educational literacy rate was about 15-20% in 1960. It's now 77%. So look, let's be honest with ourselves and start telling ourselves we can use the day of independence as a point of lamentation, but I choose to make it a point of celebration. Okay, so if you continue to focus on all the negativity, we'll be here all day. There are positives we should celebrate, and that's what we should focus on. The education, I don't believe, is as bad as Obi says. And I think Obi is looking from a prism of elitism, because he went to a government college, okay? In those days, there would have been maybe just 12. I think 1 per state, okay? Federal colleges, there would be 1 per state. If you studied in the 70s, there were about 12 states then. If it was in the 80s, there would have been 19 of them. So that's an exclusive group of Nigerians. Okay, how many people went to university in those days compared to the people going to university now? You've got millions graduating every year, but we continue to say that nothing happened. There are Nigerians that graduated from these so-called rubbish universities and are jackpotting over to England and are being taken hands over fist, because why? They are exceptionally talented. Whether it's in the medical field and they studied in Nigeria, they didn't study anywhere else. Whether it's engineers, I know so many of them that are coming here right now doing master's courses and God knows what. So it's a false narrative to paint everything negative in Nigeria. Could we do better?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there room for improvement? Fantastic, of course. But we must make, what we need to do is focusing on what we're not doing. And what is it that we're not doing as a nation?
Yeah.
We are import dependent. We should be manufacturing. In fact, I agree with what the Obedience was saying, that from production to from consumption,
to
production.
Yeah.
But this is not a party slogan. This is a nation thing. He's talking about national ethos.
Yeah.
That is something that we should do as a nation.
Yeah.
We're focusing on importing stuff. We're focusing on the dollar. Look, we don't grow corn. You're talking about people can't farm. The truth of the matter is people are farming.
Yeah.
But because we want to create a narrative of fear, we say that no one's farming. If no one was farming, we would have complete chaos now. There would be starvation in the whole of the land.
Yeah.
So people definitely are farming, but there are problems. Those need to be solved, and all issues are local.
Yeah.
Every issue is local.
Yeah.
And what's happening in one community is not necessarily reflective on what's happening on the other community. A lot of these things are intercommunal. You know, he's saying that, oh, this one sees himself as Igbo first, or this one sees himself as Yoruba first, or whatever. People are out there saying they want Oduduwa nation. People are out there
Of
saying
course,
they want Biafra. People are saying they want Ijaw nation, and so on. So when you focus all your energies on destroying and scatter Nigeria, it's no wonder Nigeria is not succeeding.
Yeah, but let me explain something which I've been trying to go on before I let you jump in. And that is the national interest. The national interest. That's why I brought in Singapore and Japan. And when you look at it, it's such that the educational level from the beginning, that people won't see a Yoruba. They won't see an Igbo.
I'll let my colleague fill in, but I'll just say that's where NYSC
with the schools,
NYSC came in for that purpose.
Let me come in here.
Yeah.
Femi, I understand his view.
Okay.
His view is based on, instead of us condemning what is wrong, we should sit on it and talk about how we can progress.
Of course.
But remember, one thing is that if you commit a crime, you pay for the crime. Whatever you do, you have to start from the basics.
Yeah.
If you don't start from the source, you're not going to make a headway.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, you talked about education. Nigeria is ranked low in terms of education, because education is considered from the primary education level, which is the basic education. When you go to the law or constitution of this country, you will find out that education is, whether you have paper or you don't have paper in England, your child must go to school.
Of course.
Or it's taken away from you by the government.
Yeah.
So now, does it happen that way in Nigeria? No. There was a PDP government during the Goodluck Jonathan something. His education the education structure he put in place was very good. Though his government didn't last because the PDP was filled, embedded with too much corruption. And then when you look at Nigeria ranked 124 in terms of education. That's very low out of 137 countries.
Yeah, but
so you can see that from that angle, Nigeria needs to improve in terms of education.
Yeah.
The nation, Tinubu, the current president, should award free education to all primary and secondary school in the whole nation. That's my view. Let the private secondary school charge whatever they want to charge, but let all government schools from primary to secondary be a free education.
Yeah,
education for all.
What I meant by education is that the national educational structures that can be changed, in a sense that when you're educating children, you are training them to be one, just like soldiers are trained to be. No matter which part of the land.
Now that is where
the national interest comes.
No, this is where we bring. That's what I want to call the University of Africa.
Yeah.
This is where Africa needs to come together
and
structure a curriculum that will be for Africa and Africa as a whole. If you watch European educational system, you find that the educational system is as if it's the same thing, although not taught in the same language. Now, there was something Lagos State is doing recently. They're introducing Yoruba language. As is he like we have English 101 in private schools, in primary schools.
Yeah.
That is a very good move.
Okay.
Introducing Yoruba language in that, so that these children will be taught in Yoruba.
It's a federal thing.
Let every region introduce that language, so that these kids will be taught in language. Now, let me ask you one question. China, Are they doing physics in English?
Yeah.
No.
It's not, yeah. Of course.
Are they doing chemistry in English? No, they're doing it in Chinese language. South Korea there's something, Singapore there's something.
Yeah.
So now what I want is a leader in Nigeria that will not be absolute.
Yeah.
What we have is leadership by absoluteness. And absoluteness is not a virtue.
Yeah.
From my own point of view. I don't believe in absoluteness.
You see-
that's what's
you see-
been
you see
destroying the
something-
country.
Okay.
You see something that made Germany what they are today.
Yeah.
Femi is saying, don't talk about the main issues. Don't talk about the things that hurt us. You know, you beat
I
a
never
child
said
and
that.
ask the child not to cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't talk about the rot in the Nigerian system. The Germans sat down and looked at all the problems of mankind. They wrote it down.
Yeah.
All the problems that any human being can have after the Holocaust.
Yeah.
They wrote it down and they gave it to some men to say, find a solution to all the problems that are. Do you know that if you go to Germany, there is no problem you have that does not have a ministry or an office that will solve it? Tell me one problem in Germany. I will tell you the office you can go and get it solved.
That's governance.
That is governance. That is futuristic thinking. Our country, Nigeria, we removed history. We removed social studies. I remember when we used to learn economics, basic economics. You equip children, school children for tomorrow. You don't equip them to become politicians and Yahoo boys. The sort of education we have is not, preparing our children for the national identity and ideology.
Yeah.
You have to have a unique ideology and psyche. When you meet a Chinese child in the secondary school, you see them, they play with the little homework they do are things that can be developed for tomorrow. Our homework to our children today in Nigeria is religion. Right? Our homework today are things that the white man has left and moved on. We are not catching up with technology. We are not designing policies and procedures that will be helpful for us in our own unique environment. Think about it. I asked you one question. Do you know there are 25 byproducts from tomato? The seed of tomato alone. When I was in Germany, a tomato factory in Cologne will have more than 25 byproducts in all the states in Germany. One state will produce the plastic, one state will produce the plastic cap, the other state will wash the tomato and deliver it to the people that will then grind it. Another state will grind it, put it in container before they will turn it into puree, and all the different types of tomato products that they will export. Nigeria has this thing in quantity. We have granite, we have everything. There are no factories that can produce job and turn these things into an export-oriented commodity that we can earn foreign money from. So we need to have a tabula rasa, a clean slate, to say if we really want Nigeria to work, how will Nigeria work for the people of Nigeria? He talked about education. 24 million children are out of school in Nigeria. 24 million children are out of school. Most of them are from the north and the south and the east currently.
There is a war in the north.
Yes. We're talking about 31% of the population of Nigeria are illiterate. Now, when you look at the Nigerian population, 31% are illiterate. How can we provide for these people? How can we introduce them to soft skills that will make them meaningful and beneficial to the nation? Why are we not dealing with the security challenges? What is wrong in having a regional police that knows the environment? These are fundamental questions that we want to ask. How come the ministerial appointments are all linked, aligned to one section of the court? These are truths.
There was something that happened.
My people say that truth is right.
Let me interject. There's something that happened in the Yoruba in the southwest region where Femi comes from during the Buhari government. Akeredolu stubbornly decided to call the bluff of the federal government. Some of the states, he called the bluff of the federal government and established a mini state police for himself. Now, what happened was that the state police he formed was able to checkmate. They were invading the Yoruba farms and bush and all the rest of them. There was nothing he could do about it. They were invading it with bike and all sort of things, both Boko Haram and all the rest of them. They looked at themselves and said, no, we have to do something. We have to use a local system of policing to checkmate these people. And that was the only reason why the whole Yoruba nation or Yoruba states were not invaded. That man stubbornly formed what they call Amatokun. And Tinubu was there then. I'm happy he didn't say much. Because he didn't interject. He allowed the state governors to do what they have to do, and that set the situation. During Buhari government, I didn't know what that man's plan. That man's plan was to overrun the whole nation. I don't know what was his plan, but thank God he did not succeed.
I want Femi to come in here, but let's focus more now on solutions. Because we know the problem. This is what, right from the beginning, I've said. We know the problems.
Well, not really the way I'm hearing it here.
Let's try and look at the
different definitions of the problem here.
Okay.
So, there's so many things that, and again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't focus on positives and negatives, but what I'm saying is that focusing on lamentation of the negatives is not the way forward. There are good things that are happening, and we should focus on them. Now, the way that I see it now is that Tinubu is in government, and he's been. I mean, the tribunal has authenticated the results, and it's going to the Supreme Court. So we wait and see what the Supreme Court say. But if the Supreme Court further confirm him, then I think we need to come together as a people and work for fixing Nigeria. Now, to me, he mentioned about Amotekun. In the southeast, they have a Baby Agu.
Is not.
Let me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let him finish.
Sorry, Ebubagi is not one of them. Please.
Baby Agu is one of them.
No.
If it's the thing, see, Obi, please. Whether you executed it in a similar manner to which Amotekun is being done, maybe you didn't. That's another matter. It doesn't matter. It was created for a purpose. How it got executed is another thing. Some people will tell you there's what they call Eastern Security Network. You understand? There's also people called the Biafra National Guard. So we can really go into that, but I don't want to go into that. So I'm saying every area is trying to do things in their own way. But you know, is it working? That's another thing. Because all of a sudden these things can become a law unto themselves. Where the governors will use them as they're being claimed in Imo State for political reasons. So at the end of the day, you can all say, let's do this, but it doesn't always work out well.
All that comes about when the government has failed to uphold proper laws and all that.
It's not just
I think that
the government is also the people. It's not about, you see, it's not about the person. He said something about education. Education is on the concurrent list. It's not an exclusive list, and actually, it's down to the states. Agriculture is on the concurrent list. It's down to I believe that Governor Soludo was doing something in education the other day where he was saying that it's going to be free for certain people. It's down to the governors. Don't be looking to Tinubu to sort out your problem in your state. So the mechanism is there if we want to take hold of it. And if your governor is not performing, like there's out of season elections coming, like in Kogi, in Bayelsa, in Edo, and so on. If your governor is not working, vote him out. You understand? You have the opportunity to do it. But the sycophants and the people that are doing their thing, and also working on party loyalty and all this kind of stuff, they won't vote the failures. They keep on voting them back.
You know why I like? Femi.
63 years ago.
You know why I like Femi? Femi is very prophetic in his utterances. He said, if they are not performing, vote them out. Under what system of governance? Under the same INEC that all Nigerians went out for the first time in history. We had over 100 million Nigerians activated, ready to make a change with their vote. And we saw what INEC under Yakubu did to dash the hopes of all entire Nigeria. He's talking about vote them out. We went to Imo State. Do you know that Imo State, my state where I come from, there were areas where there were no human beings in those communities, and they were pulling 60-something thousand millions of votes from the areas that are not inhabited.
This is an area where Peter Obi won.
Yeah.
You're talking about Imo State where Peter Obi won. So maybe we need to look at the results in Imo State. You did win. I can bring out the statistics. Labour Party won in Imo State. This is a fact. Let's not deceive ourselves.
A good clean fight. This is not a good clean fight. It's not a good clean fight.
Let me interject in between the two of them. So let's neutralize the argument.
Yeah.
Let's neutralize the argument with some positives.
Because we are going into elections now. The elections were over. We already know.
Femi said something about lamentations.
Yes.
From my last word, there were no lamentations. I was only proposing what should be done.
Yeah.
I made reference with the position of Nigeria in terms of education.
Yeah.
And I made a case for primary education. It should be for all.
Yes.
I think it's a positive.
It is compulsory, yes.
Yeah, it should be made compulsory for all. Every parent who does not allow their children go to school, especially primary and secondary school, the government should arrest them. Now, the question is that, like I said, the presidential system of government in Nigeria is embedded with absoluteness.
Yes.
And with that, there will be no true democracy.
Correct.
So what I'm suggesting is that Tinubu can use his position if he want to make an impact. Like he said, the tribunal have awarded him, he has won in the tribunal. Whatever the Supreme Court, we should not be relaxing.
Yeah.
Life must go on.
Okay.
So while he's still there, what I would suggest he do is to put a system in place that is different from what Buhari done. Buhari only increased in the pain of Nigerians, and there are more Nigerians are more tribalistic than ever before during his time.
You got to remember now one thing, which regardless of whether Tinubu is in office or Femi is in office, whether Obi is in office, regardless of who is in office, you got to remember that the structure which is there
will not allow him
to succeed.
Okay, now
that is where the failure of the country is.
But someone has to take.
Can you ask him how the president can say?
I gave you 7 points.
Can we just ask him, because we don't? You'd have said 2 things, that we have an absolute government, which is not the case. Because I want to know how the president that doesn't have legislative control of government, he's not a monarch. So how is he going to do these changes that he's saying? How is that going to happen?
Femi, we believe we've used Rwanda, we've used Kenya, we've used a lot of.
Rwanda is more or less a dictatorship. Singapore was a dictatorship. Nigeria is not a dictatorship. How is the president going to change the law when he's not a legislator?
We're coming towards the end of the program. Who was the best president Nigeria had in the 63 years?
That's a very tough question.
That
would be very subjective. That would be a very subjective question.
If you ask me personally,
because you see, we are looking at the 63 years that Nigeria was in.
I would say Obasanjo. If you ask me, I would say Obasanjo.
Yeah.
But that is it.
Okay.
How about you?
About Nnamdi Azikiwe.
He wasn't
an executive president.
He wasn't an executive president.
I was not born then, so there was no way order.
In your lifetime.
In my lifetime. I wasn't born then, so the ones I've witnessed, I believe is Obasanjo. I'm not saying it because he said it. Remember, I said it earlier when I started.
Okay.
I
need the last words
in my lifetime.
Each one of you, because we are coming.
Although I make you see, and it's not because he's Yoruba, I would agree with them only because I would never support any military government, because to me they're complete failures and you can't use them as an example.
Okay.
So we'd have to be
what is the way forward now? What's the way forward?
The way forward now for me is for the Supreme Court to make its judgment as soon as possible, and then for everybody to come on board. There's no point saying, oh, if I was in government I would have done this, if we were there we would have done this. Now once we know who the president is and it's been confirmed, those who want to come on board to help should come on board to help. Don't sit on the sidelines and lament. Come forward and help the government with progressive solutions.
What Mr. Eric?
For me, I don't want the president to wait till the Supreme Court confirms him. What I want him to do is to go ahead and govern. Let him give us governance. That's what we need from him. Whichever way I, as an individual, can contribute in the success of his government, I will do that. I'm not going to sit on the fence. But what I'm going to do is that I will always speak out. I will always stand on the side of the people. Do you understand what I mean? Because for me, Nigeria, and then the National Orientation Commission should be more power should be given to them
Agreed.
to reorientate Nigerians,
Okay.
to make Nigeria more inclusive and to feel more inclusive.
yeah.
For me, there are 7 things I've said. Tinubu needs to review his list and make it more inclusive,
Okay.
and unlike what it is today.
I support
We
that.
need to look at the exclusive list. We need to look at the concurrent list and see how to monitor the progress, especially the concurrent list where the governors are. We need to look at regionalization. We need to check security and look at the option of national police. We need to increase the quality of education
State
for our
policing.
people.
State
We
policing.
need to increase
Of
the
course.
funding into education for our people. We need to begin to develop industries
Yeah.
that can make us an export country
Yeah.
rather than import country. These are the fundamental things that I think that can begin to make Nigeria look towards the next century.
A proper
I concur with
a
him.
proper OB man, what's his name? A proper labor man.
That is why we are
Obedient.
Labour Party. We
Labor.
believe we are
Proper labor
obedient.
man.
And
Obedient.
we're going to change Imo State. You know, we are coming in as
I'm not
as
sure.
the
I'm
governor
not,
of
I'm
Imo
not
State.
sure. I'm not sure
Okay,
obedience is-
Tinubu should advocate.
I think-
Another thing Tinubu should advocate for Africa is a
Gentlemen-
kind of African university that has a curriculum for Africa,
Yeah.
that Africa will begin to practice their own system of government
You-
rather
you-
than
you-
allowing the
you
foreigners.
had that word. You
Yes.
had that word.
Yes.
I just want to thank you all for coming here. And of course, the politics never change, never goes away.
Yes.
It will be here tomorrow. We'll be talking the same thing over and over again. And maybe even next year, we'll be back here and it's going to be the same thing. So
Yes.
I just want to thank you all for coming. And then next time, maybe we'll add from here where Nigeria is going in the next 64 years from today.
And wish us
Yeah.
success in the November elections.
Yeah.
Labour Party is going to win Imo State.
Labour Party
Okay.
is not going
Okay.
to win.
With our term.
APC is going to win
it
that
never
state.
ends. I just want to thank you all for viewing us, and I do hope you'll be together again next week for another edition of Africa Speaks. Thank you very much for viewing us, and may God bless you all.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Edition of Tabia
Now
Dynamic
it's sponsored.
Awards UK. Date Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Venue Royal Regency Manor Park, London. Time red carpet begins at 7 p.m. sharp.
Showtime is 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. British time.
Guest performances from the president of the SM family, Shatta Wale. Also performing episode Bessie Esther, Guru, Kofinti, Robina, Chaos Kala, SC, Ghanaian UK-based artists and more. Rate VVIP £80, VIP £60, and standard £40. Grab that tickets now.
Tickets on sale at www.gmadeuk.co.uk.
Sponsors Tabia Company Limited, producers of Tabia Takum and Jacka 4 Bitters,
Labadi Beach Hotel,
Adongo Bitters,
Remet Choice Money Transfer,
TSF Lighting,
Combile Logistics, Ipcos Enterprise Limited, Shaxi,
Mip Live Records.
Logi Entertainment.
Proudly brought to you by Lawson Heber, producers of the Rayman Bitters and Delay Capsule, media partners Omega TV UK, powered by Alodia Promotions and West Coast UK. The 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK, live from Manor Park, London.
London, it's about to go down.
We are about to enter the 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK. Date Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Venue Royal Regency Manor Park, London. Time red carpet begins at 7 p.m. sharp.
Showtime is 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. British time.
Guest performances from the president of the SM family, Shatta Wale. Also performing episode Bessie Esther, Guru, Kofinti, Robina, Chaos Kala, SC, Ghanaian UK-based artists and more. Rate VVIP £80, VIP £60, and standard £40. Grab that tickets now.
Tickets on sale at www.gmadeuk.co.uk.
Sponsors Tabia Company Limited, producers of Tabia Takum and Jacka 4 Bitters,
Labadi Beach Hotel,
Adongo Bitters,
Remet Choice Money Transfer,
TSF Lighting,
Combile Logistics, Ipcos Enterprise Limited, Shaxi,
Mip Live Records.
Logi Entertainment.
Proudly brought to you by Lawson Heber, producers of the Rayman Bitters and Delay Capsule, media partners Omega TV UK, powered by Alodia Promotions and West Coast UK. The 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK, live from Manor Park, London.
London, it's about to go down.
We are about to enter the 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK. Date Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Venue Royal Regency Manor Park, London. Time red carpet begins at 7 p.m. sharp.
Showtime is 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. British time.
Guest performances from the president of the SM family, Shatta Wale. Also performing episode Bessie Esther, Guru, Kofinti, Robina, Cows Kala, Essie, Ghanaian UK-based artists and more. Rate VVIP £80, VIP £60, and standard £40. Grab that tickets now.
Tickets on sale at www.gmadeuk.co.uk.
Sponsors: Tabia Company Limited, producers of Tabia Takum and Jacka 4 Bitters,
Labadi Beach Hotel,
Adongo Bitters,
Remet Choice Money Transfer,
TSF Lighting,
Combile Logistics, Ipcos Enterprise Limited, Shaxi,
Mip Live Records,
Logi Entertainment.
Proudly brought to you by Lawson Heber, producers of the Rayman Bitters and Delay Capsule, media partners Omega TV UK, powered by Alodia Promotions and West Coast UK. The 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK, live from Manor Park, London.
London, it's about to go down.
We are about to enter the 7th edition of Tabia Ghana Music Awards UK. Date Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Venue Royal Regency Manor Park, London. Time red carpet begins at 7 p.m. sharp.
Showtime is 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. British time.
Guest performances from the president of the SM family, Shatta Wale. Also performing episode Bessie Esther, Guru.